Peace, light, and love. And today I'm reading Haaretz, the weekend paper. So I think I know what I want to focus on. But first I want to read you the headlines. It's kind of hard because there's so many different things. But it's Holocaust survivors want to die at home. Some sort of controversy about Holocaust survivors. And then a young woman was in October 2018, for some reason they write about it now, was forced to get off the bus because she was wearing short pants. Okay, is that... Yeah, it's not okay, but why is he writing about it now? I don't know. So let's get to focus. I always like to read letters to the newspaper. I had 3 times published letters concerning religion. I don't think religion should be black and white. So I want to read a letter by Dr. Chana Safran from Haifa. And she writes, Oli Vilnai writes about the joyous screams that were part of the murder of the head of the Hezbollah, Sheikh Abbas Musawi, by those who operate this special airplanes that are without pilots in the intelligence unit where she served in the 90s. She remembers the joy of his murder and all that was around them. There were also just people walking by. And in contrast, she remembers the sorrow of the soldiers when they came back to the base, they ran over a porcupine. Oh, how interesting to compare the murder. Can you call it a murder when you kill a murderer? I don't know. It says this racial process doesn't start with Vilnai, but became even sharper and worse. Our society sends the daughters and the sons to kill Palestinians and to be happy. At the same time, she educates them to love animals and nature. Is a corrupt society. We have to remember what it says in the Bible. And she has a quote: when your enemy falls, don't be happy. And when he benfol oivecha al tismach uvekashlo al yigal libcha. So she's quoting that when your enemy falls, don't be happy. So the life of a man who's not Jewish and is thought of as less is racism. We shouldn't continue. Vilnai sees the horrible significance of her deeds and her soldier friends 30 years ago. Maybe she has courage to tell it to the entire public and maybe protect her son from his upcoming draft to the army and save him from facing a reality without morality and justice and tell him to stay home. Great. So you're telling people not to go to the army because they might kill terrorists. So where do you live exactly? The woman lives in Haifa. Maybe we could look at the terror attacks that were orchestrated by this man. Now, while one can debate targeted killing, there is also, she skips the biblical quote that says if somebody's going to kill you, you have to kill them first. And usually we don't say murder, we say destruction, or chisul, we say. When somebody like that, when this man is responsible for so many terror attacks against innocent people that regardless of their political opinions, just random killings, he's a murderer. And to compare that to a poor porcupine that gets run over by a car, and to say that you care more about porcupines than human beings, first of all, it shows you that you think that the life of a murderer should be thought of the same as a poor little porcupine who walks on the street. I don't know what kind of... I don't get the logic at all. And there's also a saying that if you are having pity on a murderer, on quite a cruel person, then you're going to end up not having mercy on people you should have mercy for. I don't understand where she's living exactly, which reality. I don't think that anyone is educated to kill Palestinians, and I don't think it's about killing Palestinians. He's the head of a terror organization, Sheikh Abbas Masawi. He's responsible for countless murders. So Bin Laden, what about Bin Laden? Let's talk about Bin Laden. Can we agree that Bin Laden was not a nice guy, and that if he's murdered, you can be happy a little bit? And if an American porcupine is run over by a car, you can feel pity for the porcupine, but not for Bin Laden. In a way, all life should be sacred. But if somebody chooses to be a psychopath and just to murder and have nothing, it's not like they have actually an intention of establishing a country or anything. It seems like they're so focused on killing Israelis in a random style. It doesn't matter what their political stands are, without any clear goal, that I don't see how I am supposed to be feeling pity and how it's not moral to kill somebody who's a murderer. I don't see that. It's not like they randomly killed him, like they just chose a Palestinian and just killed him. He was responsible for a lot of murders. And I don't know, the porcupine, as far as I know, didn't kill anybody. So sometimes I wonder, if you have the title doctor in front of your name, does that make your argument more valid? Let's agree that all life is sacred, and people who choose to murder other people or animals, they're not in the same level as those who don't. And though I'm not sure about targeted killing, I just don't understand how that makes you a bloodthirsty person if you're happy that a head of a terror organization is dead. I don't think that's necessarily the solution. So if I was writing a letter, which I might try again to see if they publish it, because I write a lot of letters. In 20 years, they published 3. I would say this: all life should be sacred. The porcupines too, but murderers are in a different category, and you cannot put terrorists and people that are not terrorists in the same. You can't compare violent people who choose to be violent. And I heard in the Holocaust Memorial Day, I heard a talk by a philosopher, Shimon Azoulay, and he said it's not every society that chooses to be violent, regardless how oppressed you are, how bad you're feeling. Not every culture chooses to be violent, and the acts of violence of terror towards the Israelis, I think, are just maybe that's what makes it a little bit violent society here, because you live in violence. But I don't think anybody here is actually being educated to be violent. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's extremists, but I can't see it really, that there is actually mainstream saying let's go with violence, where the other side, I don't see any, it's hard for me to have hope, though I do have. So what I'm trying to say is that violence is not necessarily something that is justified just because you're oppressed or you're not happy. Let's kill people randomly. And it's really difficult to compare things. Like, Shimon Azoulay said we cannot compare the Holocaust, we cannot compare Israeli soldiers to Nazis and all kinds of things that they've done, because it just can't compare that to anything. And you can't compare the death of a porcupine who's run over by a car to a terrorist, a leader of a terrorist organization that orchestrates horrible acts of murder and violence towards anyone, without any goal other than to kill, murder, and spread violence. There's no actually goal. It's not like an underground that wants to establish something. So I don't have a doctorate in front of my name, but I do have an MA after my name. And so peace, light, and love. And let's keep compassion towards people that are not violent, towards animals that are never violent and never do any harm to anyone. Peace, light, and love.